Start talking.
Sent by a friend of Johnny Fontaine. His friend is my client. Give his undying friendship to Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh will be granted a small favor.
Are you trying to muscle me? Absolutely not. To me, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Start talking.
Sent by a friend of Johnny Fontaine. His friend is my client. Give his undying friendship to Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh will be granted a small favor.
Are you trying to muscle me? Absolutely not. To me, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Let me lay it on the line for you and your boss, whoever he is. Johnny Fontaine will never get that move. I don't care how many Dago, Guinea, Wop, Greaseball, Goombas come out of the woodwork.
I'm German-Irish.
Well, let me tell you something, my crook neck friend. I'm going to make so much trouble for you, you won't know what hit you.
I'm a lawyer. I have not threatened.
I know almost every big lawyer in New York. Who the hell are you?
I have a special practice. I handle one client. Now, you have my number. I'll wait for your call. By the way, I admire your picture very much.
Start talking.
Sent by a friend of Johnny Fontaine. His friend is my client. Give his undying friendship to Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh will be granted a small favor.
Are you trying to muscle me? Absolutely not. To me, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Hey, Angelo wants. Start talking.
Sent by a friend of Johnny Fontaine. His friend is my client. Give his undying friendship to Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh will be granted a small favor.
Are you trying to muscle me? Absolutely not. To me, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Let me lay it on the line for you and your boss, whoever he is. Johnny Fontaine will never get that move. I don't care how many Dago, Guinea, Wop, Greaseball, Goombas come out of the woodwork.
I'm German-Irish.
Well, let me tell you something, my crook neck friend. I'm going to make so much trouble for you, you won't know what hit you.
I'm a lawyer. I have not threatened.
I know almost every big lawyer in New York. Who the hell are you?
I have a special practice. I handle one client. Now, you have my number. I'll wait for your call. By the way, I admire your picture very much.
I doubt that would pass the woke censors today. Here's where we are on Railtown, 17,901,000 shares. 17,901,000. It's pretty good. I don't really have a lot prepared. We'll do it. We'll go as we go, different thoughts. Different, just kind of ideas of what's going on. But obviously with no news or any activity the last 3 days, there's nothing really to talk about. But I do think it's important that you understand, just getting some cold coffee. I do think it's important that you understand things are probably, the surprises are going to be to the upside, and things are not likely you know what? I think our number, I missed a page. So let me just add it up. And I'll fix it on the spreadsheet later. Of course, the pencil doesn't work. Use this one. We might have more than I told you. We have a big position. But you knew that already. When we start adding, it's just for fun. We already know we have a pretty major position here. I forgot to add Clay's 180. wondering if I'm double counting him. I don't think so. I don't think I am, because I couldn't find it on my list. So I think this is our number now, much bigger. I think our number is now man, how did I miss that? That's our number. 18 million. 18 million shares. 18,126,389. That's pretty powerful. Now, you know, some people might have shaken out, but there's other people that don't tell me what they have. So it's all I've got to go with. Wow, 18 million shares. Anyway, what I was starting to say before I noticed my own mathematical mistake is don't, my hair looks like that guy on Unforgiven, the duck of death. The duck of death. Anyway, I think things are going to start happening more quickly. I don't know if that means in the next week or two, or even in the next 4 weeks, but soon. A lot of the stuff that I was telling you that I thought was going to happen, I think is going to start happening in terms of price action. And 18 million shares. I guess it was worth the wait. You guys took a lot of you took advantage of the wait, and that's great. All right. I like the hat account setting says. Yeah. It's not very polite, is it? But it gets the point across. Ham gave me that hat. Hey, fast Eddie. Hey, account settings. Hey, Jason. Rest in peace, Mr. Duvall. Yeah. He's a good actor. Very good actor. In a way, he always played like any of those great actors, he always played kind of the same role. But because of his skills, he made each new role not only believable, but he usually stole the movie. I guess I could have played the one about napalm, but actually I'm Scots Irish. I like that one better. Hey, Jim. Jack Hamilton. Yeah, see what it says right here? Hoping it doesn't spike up too fast tomorrow. I have a little bit of scratch coming through to purchase tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen. I would say on the argument that it's going to go quickly, 3 days is plenty of time for people to study their screens and study the stock. On the other side, I haven't seen any indication that tell us, or whatever this news that or this material release of information, whatever it is, I've yet to see any sign of it. So if I had to guess, we still have 2 or 3 more weeks, which is okay. They give you a chance to buy. I was hoping to, have something happen, but that's just life. Just got to go. You got to be happy with what you have. Lewis Shotland, even Tony the Tiger is now saying he had underestimated Railtown. Oh wow! I guess his due diligence let him down. He's just a bullshitter. Of course, I guess you could say that about everybody. Rail Mega Space say, hey William, you're giving country music star vibes. Do you? What, old and washed up? I like country music, and I like old country music. Some of the new, but not a lot of the new. Some of it. I love. Who's the guy that sings Tennessee Whiskey? Stapleton, but he's kind of older now. Chris Stapleton. I like music. I like country music. Do you see Railtown blowing through the price targets of 4 and 36 before May? You know what? Before I signed on, I was going to do a chart. Didn't do it. I've been working this other project that I've spoken to a couple dozen of you about. I've been working on it the last 4 days and 5 days, 6 days. But anyway, getting there. Just go by the bank tomorrow, I hope. Fingers crossed, and get started. So I just have been. My mind has been on that. My mind is on moving forward, is what it is. The $36 target before May. We're in February. Well, let's put that in numbers. 36 times, let's call it 235 million shares fully diluted, although that's not how Yahoo calculates it. It's about $8 billion market cap, $8.5 billion by May. I mean, as you know, my goal last July or something, I said it many times afterward, but I don't remember when I first said it. It was $55 by May 5. I was trying to give something that people could both look forward to and remember. But that was really predicated on major buying coming in, and it hasn't happened yet. Predicated on release of whatever is blocking this material non-public information situation. To get there at let's say a 35 multiple, which is maybe high, you'd need to achieve forward projected revenue of 300 million No, sorry. No, sorry. That's not right. That's not right. Of course, I can't tell you what is correct because my stupid calculator. All right, let me go to a different calculator. It goes into endless ease. So let me do that this way. So if we assume it goes to 8.5 billion by May, divide by 235 million shares, which that might be a lot. Yeah, that's the 36 number. So that's the right thing to start with. And if we use a multiple of 25, 30, 35, let's say a multiple of 25. Yeah, it's got to do 340 million in projected revenue, 12-month revenue. I think it could get there by May. I do. But I think that's a tall order. But it could happen. The way that will happen, and I think it's, it's not the most likely case. The way that will happen is if the network of companies transfer their revenue, not their revenue, they currently spend well over $100 million on other hyperscalers. If they, under the orders of their owner, who is Railtown, transfer their spend on hyperscalers to the TELUS data center, then Railtown, who is the owner of those network associates, whatever, they don't own the companies, but they own the network, the association of 200 companies working together. And if those revenues, which I'm sure by now are higher than 100 million, they move the 100 million over, that does two things: proof of concept, and secondly, it probably brings anywhere from 20 to 30 million dollars in annual recurring revenue over to Railtown's bottom line in the form of profit. The gross revenue will be net revenue. And so we're looking to get to 8.5 billion, which gets us to $36. Let's just call that we need the network companies to move over enough revenue to create, if they move over 150 million in revenue. Now, it doesn't have to happen by May. It just has to be projectable that it's going to happen. Because once it does happen, it stays. So the analysts and the buyers are going to be willing to discount that future revenue with a high number today. So if we say 150, just easy arithmetic, 150 million spend by the network of companies goes to the TELUS data center. And if we use 20% as the split that Railtown gets, we don't know that number. It could be 15, could be 10, could be 25, 30, 35. But 20 sounds about right. So 20 times 150, that's 30 million. So where can we get the other 310 million from. Well, where we get that is TELUS. We went through the TELUS earnings transcript the other day, and Entwistle, who was resigning in June, so he doesn't have much time to get his vision going, but he wants to grow the AI-enabled revenue to $2 billion by 2028. So that's basically just under 2 years from now. Well, if you just move over, do the same thing, say $1.5 billion of it, which is higher than I usually do. But at 20%, that's 300 million. You're there. So if you get those two elements rapidly ramping and believable and growing, yeah, you could get to 8.5 billion based on a 25 multiple. Obviously, if you had a 50 multiple, you don't need that much. So that's one way. The other way to get there is the proof of concept, and it spreads around the world like an Epstein file with Donald Trump in it. And next thing you know, data centers around the world, particularly in France, any country that hates the United States, France, that's the only one that comes to mind. Maybe other countries who are concerned with the sovereignty issue. So maybe we narrow down the two countries that dislike us to France and Canada. Although I've been reading Peter Schweitzer's new book, and I'll tell you what, Mexico doesn't like us either. Mexico literally believes that the Treaty of 1848 is null and void. I don't know what we're doing. We're sleepwalking into. We're going to be needing to wake up at some point. But anyway, the point is, if these sovereign AI factory type countries see this as critical to their national defense, if Railtown becomes that piece, oh my gosh, I don't think 8.5 billion defines the price. But I think a lot of that is extreme optimism, which I'm capable of here. What I think is more likely is that Railtown goes to the valuation of Langchain, which at that point you're saying May. I bet by May they start raising more money, and I guess if I had to guess, it's going to be a $2.5 billion valuation, but I don't know that. But that's $10 a share for Railtown. I don't know if there's part of me also that everything's slowed down because everything's been at a complete halt for a year. But I do think that $10 number, I think Railtown's a better product than Langchain. There's another group out there called, I'll show it to you in a second probably, although I don't know how to find it without showing you. It's called Crew AI. Crew AI. A year ago, it was worth 100 million in Series A round, backed by Insight Partners, and it has a revenue of $3 million. That's as of summer last year. And my guess is if you go to their website, they're backed by Insight Partners. I would put Crew AI as a competitor to Railtown. But none of these competitors has none have the contract with TELUS. So that's what makes it a big difference. They have 150 enterprise clients. We're going to get potentially 15,000 right away. So yes, I do think Railtown by May is going to be a completely different price stock. And if I had to pick a number that is a more reasonable case, I would inflate Lang Chain's last summer raise, which was announced in October, but it was priced during the summer, at post money 1.25 billion, but based on about 14 million in estimated annual revenue. I would imagine that price has gone up. So, like I say, 2.5 billion. So I think by May, a more realistic target for Railtown is $10 a share. And by definition, that means I think it's going to blow through $4. And I want to emphasize again, this is not a trading stock. Tony the Timid Tiger has, as one of his followers, a particularly inexperienced investor called Platinum Blonde. She finds it preposterous when I say that as the stock goes up, if you trade out and you put a bid for it when it pulls back, you may not be able to buy it. And she goes, wait, I bought it, I sold it, and I'm not going to be able to buy it again? She should run for Congress. Her premise is correct. You'll be able to buy it again, but will you be able to buy the same number of shares? And right now, with the prices down here, ironically, you can buy all the shares you want. But when the shares are going to be, if they get there, $6, $7, $8, $10, $15, I don't think there's going to be that many shares available. They're not just going to be manufacturing Xerox copies of the same stock certificate. So that's what I meant when I said that. She just doesn't have enough experience. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm right. They might keep printing, but I don't think they will. The reason I don't think they will is because Railtown, we got lucky. On the one hand, Railtown, the founders decided on this strategy before anyone really understood AI. And I'm not sure anyone does understand it. But Core Labs or Core Weave or no, Chat GPT came, and it was like a clash of a cymbal on, during the middle of an interlude during an opera, just to wake everybody up, and it woke everybody up. But so two things happened. Railtown went public to raise money. If it hadn't done that, we wouldn't be able to buy any shares. And then luckily, awareness popped up and the sledding got easier, and they didn't raise any money with a big hedge fund. They didn't do anything with a front like Jeff Easton. So there's no toxic deal. So I think as the stock price goes up, they don't have anything as a hedge against the risk they take of issuing a lot of shares as the price goes up. In other situations, like Tony's favorite stock, AME, he loves to talk about the shorts in that as if you're going to learn anything. He loves to talk about GMC as if you're going to learn anything. He's done it for 5 years now. But you guys find him deep, I guess. How deep is your love? When those stocks went up, the hedge funds kept selling, and they brought in bigger hedge funds, and they brought in Roaring Kitty, and they confused everybody. And over the 2 or 3 years, they more than made their money back, and they fully capitalized a mediocre company with a lot of expensive leases. But it doesn't matter. Retail gets something in their head, and they go with it. So my point being, we got lucky with Railtown. It's public, so we can buy it. The criminals shorted it, but it was their computers that got them in trouble a year ago when the news came out, MOU, acquisition, negotiation, a few weeks, Canaccord Genuity, perfect. Our computers can crush that. We'll bust up the trade, or if they do the trade, they'll issue so many shares. We have a winning transaction. But they've given it their best. I'm sure they made a lot of money on Railtown over the last 9 months. A lot of it. But every share issued, I'm sure a lot of it got crossed. But most of the shares sold don't exist. And there's no toxic way. There's no backward-looking formula. There's no issuance that's going to come out. They did not take a toxic note. So it's public, and we get to buy it inexpensively while this, whatever the hell you call it, blackout period on news. And it looks like revenues are about to ramp up at some point with this data center deal. They just raised money with the two most important tech funders in Canada, or top 1% anyway, and they don't need money. So we get to buy it inexpensively. It's public. They didn't do a toxic deal, so the criminals are not going to be able to destroy the company. They'll keep playing around selling, particularly under $5, because they know that's the Merrill Lynch rule. Overall, no institutions they're not playing against institutions. They're not playing against research. They're not playing against trading desks. They're not playing against big mutual funds or ETFs. Anything under $5 is orphaned. So they'll keep playing while it's there, probably. Spoofing, lying, crossing, having lying attorneys back them up. But once it crosses $5, $6, $7, institutions can come in, research can come in, the thundering herd at Merrill Lynch can come in. They're not going to want to do it anymore. So Platinum Blonde, in her limited analysis, is wrong. But I suppose I could be wrong. But I think as the stock goes to 10 or 15 bucks, $8, they're not going to be giving the computer program sellers 1 million shares to sell a week or a day. They're just not going to do it. So I got off track, but yes, I think Railtown is definitely going to go well through $4 before May. I don't know about the 36. It's an $8 billion company. It could happen. Definitely, when Railtown starts to move, it's going to be rapid. But can Railtown get ahead of Lang Chain's value? Or, for example, Crew AI? No one knows what that value is. There's several others. I don't know that answer. To get to 8 billion or 10 billion or 15 billion, I think there has to be a bidding war. And I think a bid to buy the company will come in the second quarter. So is that May? Yeah. So it could happen. But if you want to keep your sanity, I would plan on a $5, which is a lot lower than I projected before. But I would go with $5 to $10 by May. But it could be a lot higher. And I wouldn't sell. I would not sell unless we get some other news. When you sell, you got to pay taxes. The most likely exit here is a takeout of the company. And you wouldn't have to pay taxes to have that increase in your equity value. Of course, if you sell that company, then you have to pay taxes. I got off track. Sorry about that. By the way, I admire your pictures very much. I have a specialized practice. I have the one client. You don't intimidate me. I'm a lawyer. I'm an attorney. He was great in The Natural when he was the sports reporter. He was great in, was he in True Grit? But he was great in that movie with John Travolta, where John is an attorney and the defendant is 2 or 3 companies who have tanned leather and put the poison, dump the cans right in the water, and there's an area where everyone's getting sick. Can't remember the name of that book or the movie. Anyway, he was the Duvall was the lawyer for W.R. Grace and Company. He did a great job in that movie. He's a versatile actor. I thought he was great in the movie with Kevin Costner when they are cowboys on the range, and Warren Beatty's wife is in it. I just can't remember the name of the movie. He was a pretty good old sheriff in, I think it was called Across the Line. I think that was the name of it. And he's a very good actor. Hey, Belanger. Except for the other day when I brought up Bloom Energy, I didn't mean as an investment, rather as an interesting source of electricity, especially for data centers. Yeah, that was how I woke up this morning, Giuseppe. Not so much thinking about electricity, but we're going to need a lot of it. And the United States isn't ready for it. We've been making men and women rich, bombing deserts and assaulting mountains and doing a bunch of crap around the world that doesn't help anybody except banksters. While China has been building up its electricity, next grid, all of that. But China's got some problems. I think they have half the population you think they do. Maybe I'll show you that video on Chinese New Year, which tomorrow I think is Chinese New Year. And China's got debt problems. But the good thing China has is they can produce. But you know what? They don't consume that much. And the modern model is based on consumption. And we're still the big consuming nation. And that only works as long as our dollar is accepted. And the dollar only works as long as our military is supreme. And because of the arrogant, lying, murderous Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump now has half of our deployed naval forces within striking range of Iran, Russia, China, Iran's hypersonic missiles. We lose an aircraft carrier, the dollar's not worth anything more than the pink dollar of Australia or how do we get into this situation? Backing an ungrateful country. There's Israel and there's Mexico. I'm sure there's other countries, maybe China, all coming in and corrupting our government because the liberals, the woke, let's be fair to everybody and we got to be nice. Do you think they're thinking that way toward us? I don't know. I don't know what to say. But anyway, Giuseppe, what I was thinking about, first thing I woke up is every one of you watching me eventually is going to use ChatGPT, which may or may not survive, Claude, which I think will, Gemini, which I think will, and I don't know who else, OpenClaw. You're going to use these things, and they're going to keep improving, and it's going to be your new cell phone bill, your new cable TV bill, your new. It might be as much as your car payment bill. The price is going to go up. There's not enough data center capacity for all of these agents to hire other agents and do all this stuff. And yes, there's the constraint of energy. It's a huge constraint. But there's going to be a constraint of whatever you call that memory. Is it chips? There's just going to be a constraint on all of it. Eventually they'll figure it out, and Moore's law, I guess, will catch up with it. or is it Vera Rubin? She figured out that things in space, as they circle, they don't slow down at the edges. Yeah, I just think, just to finish that thought, I think people are going to spend massive amounts of money on AI. You know, it'll stay cheap for a while these giants battle each out. But when Anthropic gets purchased by Google, that takes two competitors, they'll be the same. And when Microsoft fails and ChatGPT goes bankrupt, maybe that'll get bought into Apple or into Google, and you'll have one, and then they'll start charging massively, and it'll be priced like your cable bill, go up and up and up and up. You'll spend thousands a year on it. Well, why is that good for us? Railtown's pricing model, would benefit. They're getting revenue sharing at TELUS, for example. As TELUS is able to charge more, our split goes up, whatever it is. So it's good news. Tony Barber, do I have an Instagram account so people can DM you or damn me? I'm sure people damn me. I don't even know what Instagram is. I have, I am on Twitter, but I rarely go look there because I don't trust myself to react. I have a Facebook account, but I haven't used it in years. Similar reason. I'm on LinkedIn, but I never even established it. I have email. My name, Farrand Balanced. Farrand, Farrand, Balanced, Farrand Balanced at gmail.com. You can DM me there. Farrand Balanced, Farrand at FARRAN like Nancy, D like David, balanced at gmail.com. Yeah, you did, Jason. I got those. And I'll try to read them since I have no content to share with anybody. I'm not sure I'm going to take the risk of showing anything here because I was downloading things that are private. So I'll do it here, but I'll go find your links. That'll be good to go over. Good afternoon, Donna. Donna says good afternoon, William and everyone. Pelican Brief. No, it was I can see the actors, I can see the book, I can see the movie. I can but I can't remember the name. That's annoying. Let me just do John Revolta. And Robert Duvall. A civil action, a civil action. You're close. You're very close. A civil action. A civil action. Tony Barger, ever talk about Railtown's partnership with Braid AI or the inbound interest from European telecommunications who are seeking sovereign AI? Well, I know that that's an area of intense interest for Railtown. I did not talk about it much because I thought that was part of my conversation with Corey, that maybe he said, look, you can share what I've said, but I haven't given you anything that's material, but use your judgment. So I figured he didn't want me talking about that so much. Not that I learned a lot. What I learned is that he's keen on Europe and elsewhere in the world. And that, since that was in the newspaper, I don't think it harms anybody to say that. Bray, I don't particularly, one way or another, know. When I was younger, I did a lot of business because of friends in the Middle East, and I always have skepticism seeing a Middle Eastern linkage in a news release, because I've experienced it personally. But it's changed. You know, I'm talking about going there. You know, I started going there when I was in my, I guess I was in my 30s, and it's all changed. But you had to, and I suspect it's still true, you have to have direct access to the decision maker. Otherwise, yeah, they'll sign you up, they'll put it on the shelf, it's all good, and you go on about life. If you want something done, the person you hire has to be able to go right to dinner or drinks or, polo game match with someone that says, okay, let's do it. I'll leave it in your hands. So I don't know what to say about the Bryant. I'm not saying anything bad. I don't know. They did sign a consulting agreement last year for a lot of warrants, a lot of shares, actually. It wasn't warrants, it was shares that were purchased with a group that was supposedly going to introduce the company to Europe and the Middle East. Nothing happened. Nothing's happened on the Bryant either. But those incoming phone calls from, I would guess, the European Union, that's pretty significant. That's pretty significant. I don't have any details on those calls, but I think that's exciting. To me, the upside, that could be massive. It could be, those movies where you're watching two people come down in a parachute and then one pops the parachute and goes way up. It's a trick of motion, but that one just goes shooting way up, which is really because the other is continuing to fall. I think that's what can happen to Railtown. If proof of concept at TELUS and at Uniserve, which is on a smaller level doing the same thing, comes in like a champ, I think everybody around the world's going to want it. And then all of a sudden, Just imagine that scenario where everybody wants it. Now, I personally don't think Railtown could handle that ramp up all by its own sum. Maybe they can. Maybe they can. But that's when I think a bidding war comes to buy the company. But maybe they go it alone. We'll find out. It's very exciting, Tony. It's very exciting. Neil Gondik, hello. Good afternoon, Bill, and the entire RT crew. Bloomberg reiterates AI will dominate with software and hardware. This is just beginning. ChatGPT is nothing compared to the software that Railtown has. I was studying Anthropic a little bit, in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep, and I realized that when I suggested that Railtown could be bought for 40 billion, I think Anthropic is valued at 100 billion. I'm thinking, could Railtown be worth half of what Anthropic is? One advantage Railtown has is it can be used everywhere. Anthropic can just be used in Anthropic. Railtown can be used Anthropic, OpenAI, and I'm not saying that it's inside of those. I'm saying it's in the stack. But Railtown's agnostic to the language or who's using it. So I think it could get big. It would have to imply enormous revenues. But Neil and Tony, the rough revenue total addressable market number to use, I think, is 30 billion. I mean, some numbers are way higher than that. But in general, every projection that I've shown you from searches comes in, that's kind of the midpoint, 30 billion. Well, if Railtown gets 10% of that market, that's 3 billion ARR. So 1% of that, I think, is 300 million. I guess I could try to figure that out. I'm so terrible at arithmetic in my head. So if the market is 30 billion and Railtown gets 1% of it, 300 million and growing. It's big numbers. And remember, Railtown's revenue, because of the deal they struck, gross revenue is net revenue. Revenue is cash flow. Revenue is profit. Revenue is earnings. It's amazing. Hey, Butter, how is everyone? I'm good. Jack says hi, Donna. Butter. William, have you looked into Live Person, which, like Railtown, has, but no, I haven't. I'll write it down though. Live Person. Let me ask you something. Could you invest in it? There's a lot of companies out there, but there's no way to invest in them, except maybe through a private equity fund, And then private equity takes the first 10x, 50x. But I'll look it up. Hey, Jack Hamilton, I'm getting kind of worried. I haven't seen the shows lately. Hopefully, that's that Mr. Williams just blocked them. I blocked quite a few of them, but I think what it really means, Jack, they made their money. Well, you guys don't realize it's not personal with them. They're just machines. So they saw it up in June. I believe you guys may disagree with me and I may be wrong, but when the company is talking to the shorts via Tony, that's my opinion. Maybe he's, I don't know. You walk like a duck, you shit like a duck. But let's not get focused on the specific people. It's when the shorts know, and it's not, that's not descriptive enough. This is program trading. The investor goes into it with a blindfold, 2 hands tied behind her back, and she has to wear a cast on one of her legs that's heavy so she can't really move. It's an unfair fight. There's no uptick rule. There's no enforcement of delivery rules, no enforcement of locate rules. There's no research. There's no investment banking. There's no retail brokers or advisors recommending the stock. There's no investment banking. The Adina Friedmans are as corrupt as she can be. The Charlie Cromwells are as corrupt as he can be. But they still smile. I'm so powerful. Because the flow of money is to the funds. The funds hire the attorneys. The regulators want the job at the attorneys. The regulators want the job. Look at this woman, Rummuller. Just some blonde. I'm sure she's smart. She memorizes things and got through law school. But Obama needed a female on his box. Check, tick. Let's promote her 20 years ahead of her experience because she's a woman. And then she gets a managing director job or whatever the hell it was at Goldman Sachs. She's all of 12 years old, no experience, no judgment. Inflated view of her talent because since she's 5, she's been told that women are better than men and the future is female and it's all going to be wonderful when women are in charge. Well, she gets in charge, she links up on FINRA and helps FINRA defraud investors. That's what she did with her power. Of course, then you get Gary Gensler, another goober. What did he do with his power? It's all rigged against investors. So they use these high-frequency trading computer programs in stocks under $5 to just go through the fields of hay, cutting down everything in their sight. Or through, putting the sheep through the shears, getting all the wool off them before they bang them on the head and put them down. But our markets are just so corrupt now. There's nobody that cares, nobody that knows. And yeah, I blocked some of the shills. But I think they're gone here because the end of the year happened. And it carried over into January, but they're on to other stocks now in the United States. They're still trying to do something up in Canada, it looks like. But it's not going to last long. And that's the big difference here with Railtown. These people will move away. And all this stock they're selling to you at some point is just not going to happen. Do you think we could have purchased 18 million shares without the shorts? There's only 100 million in the float. and the insiders own 60 million or 50, and then a group of other people close to the company reportedly own between 30 and 60 million, and then we own it. Where's the stock coming from? It's coming because they are playing games, because it's always profitable. It's always profitable. And that Rummler woman, she also broke up a marriage. I don't know. I'm not impressed with her. I'm just not impressed with her. I showed you Rummler early on when I was on the MMTLP calls and everything. I found her. I put it up there. I put her up again recently, and I think people have picked up on it. But she was the link between FINRA, Goldman Sachs, and she came out of the Obama administration. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing in securities. She has no idea what she's doing in securities. She's just a woman. And she got promoted because she's a woman. Well, it's the world we live in. It happens to men too. Men get promoted because their dad played football. So it's the shit we're in. But man, what a country. What a country. You pay the price for being woke. You do pay the price. There's no enforcement of regulations. And it's unbelievable. But I think it's great the shills are gone. Silver skyrocket. How are you? Donna says hello, Jack. Donna says hello, Silver skyrocket. E. Belanger, do you think we'll have some good news in Q1 earnings or nothing? Well, their first quarter already happened. I can't imagine what's going to be good about it. We've read the Canadian Stock Exchange monthly updates, and their clients are around 12,000. Rail Engine, they finished it last month, January, so that's got to be implemented soon, or maybe it already has at TELUS. But there's very little indication in those reports of significant revenue. So if I had to guess, the first quarter, which in a calendar year is the fourth quarter of last year, I bet if they did $250,000 in revenue, that would be exciting. So no, I don't expect to see anything great about their first quarter earnings. The quarter we're in right now is their second quarter. And I'd say to date, they don't have diddly, as that woman in Outlaw Josie Wales says, you don't owe me doodly squat, or something like that. I don't think they made that much revenue this quarter. I think what will matter about an earnings report would be if it comes with simultaneously or roughly at the same time with whatever the hell news we're waiting for or information we're waiting for that will stop this umbrella of no information, no real discussion, no research reports, no major buying. Partly the buying can't come in because the price is so low. But anyway, I would imagine that when they report their first quarter, that maybe it'll be around the time that cloud cover of non-material public information, or non-public material information, I should say, gets broken. Well, that'd be great. The other thing is look for the management discussion. I always go to the management discussion in the quarterlies and I always learn more listening to management than reading accountant's report, partly because I'm not an accountant, and also because I don't know all the tricks that accountants can use to confuse us. So I tend to look for cash flow. My eyes are blurry. I don't know. So no, I don't think there's going to be anything to expect in their earnings report. I think what you're waiting on is something that we probably won't see except derivatively. I think what you're waiting on is some piece of news or some piece of press release somewhere. Maybe tell us, but maybe there's something else going on. But something needs to be released. So this, super double secret cloak and dagger, can't tell anybody anything, veil gets lifted. That you're waiting for, and I can't tell you what that exact news is. If I had to guess, it's going to be a fuller description of what the arrangement is with TELUS, what's going on there. I don't ever know if that'll be completely transparent to us, because it might be the secret sauce for TELUS. I don't know. But anyway, that is one thing you're looking for. The other thing you're looking for, it's not too hard. It's not too hard to imagine that it's going to start soon. The other thing you're looking for is TELUS to start encouraging their own book, their own clients to move to the TELUS data center. And in fact, trying to entice all of Canada to move their business to the data center at Who's Your Moose. When that starts, I think what's going to become apparent, as long as nothing blows up, like, a software glitch or something, or a NVIDIA stack fails. But I think what's going to become apparent is that the NVIDIA stack, and with Railtown on top of it, can scale rapidly, and they can go from 100 users to 10,000 to 100,000 to 1 million to 10 million without a glitch. And as those users come on, they start paying TELUS, which is a telecom, so I assume it's monthly, and that starts booking revenue to Railtown monthly. And Railtown's already raised $3 million. They'll clearly raise another $3 million from the warrant exercise at the end of this month, 2 weeks from now. So they're going to be sitting there with their bank account full and revenue starting to come in. And that ramping of revenue, I would imagine, is going to look like watching Lindsey Vonn come down the hill in reverse. It's going to be a reverse ski slope. And once that becomes apparent to NVIDIA, to Microsoft, to TELUS, whoever the language model is, it could be Anthropic, it could be Cohere, it could be OpenAI, it could be somebody else. It'll be apparent to them. And I think that discussion will go around the technology world like, you know, a rumor that the high school quarterback got the, you know, the head cheerleader pregnant. It'll run around the high school in a second. I think if this thing ramps up, it's going to run around the AI investor world in a nanosecond. And everybody's going to be scrambling. And I don't see Railtown under $5 at that point. And I don't see Railtown being an independent company much more than 90 days at that point. Could be 6 months, but maybe a better way to say it is that Railtown will be pursued. I don't know if they'll close the deal, but it will be pursued, in my opinion. Q1 is October, November. Yes, that's exactly right. Eric says we will need good news to support the momentum of the last week. I don't think so. But you're right. It's kind of an inflection point. The heaviness, I don't know what to call the whole short selling criminal system, but the heaviness is going to look for an opportunity to bring it back, to go against the trend, because they can make money in it. And so if they can get it to trade back down 10% or 15, 20%, they have a chance to make some money. They are so important to the health of our modern economy. It's incredible. We give them tax advantages. We allow them to move money offshore. We don't enforce rules. We don't tax their profits, all because they provide such an important service to the financial markets. But yeah, you're right to realize there could be a counter trend pullback. I don't think it'll last long, but they can make it happen because, you know, they don't have feelings. They don't get scared. They don't react to anything except the computer formula, the algorithms. So there is a possibility next week, following week, that the stock pulls back just as strong as if it goes up. Again, I don't think any news from the company is going to change anything. I think what has to change is two things. TELUS has to tell us what's going on. And then, I don't know, 24 hours later, 72 hours later, the attorneys for all these hedge funds can tell them, well, whatever you signed 6 months ago no longer applies because the news, I don't even know if it's news. It's just telling the world whatever this non-material information, this non-public material information is. Once that gets out, buyers can line up, but again, at the low prices, is probably stutter stepping up because not every institution, not every ETF, not every brokerage firm is going to recommend, not every wealth advisor, not every pool of money or whale is going to get the advice to buy a stock under $1, under $2, under $3. It's only after it gets above the Merrill Lynch rule that you'll see widespread buying. So anyway, I think that blockage has to be released. The other thing I think has to happen, and I don't know what word to call it, because that data center is already open for business. It was opened back in the summer, and they've got at least 3 big customers. They have the NVIDIA stacks. They have the half-priced power because it's hydropower. They have it all hooked up. It's all ready to go. I assume they've picked Anthropic or OpenAI or Cohere or someone to run the language models, and they've picked the orchestration framework layer, Railtown. But Railtown wasn't ready because Rail Engine wasn't ready. We just saw the announcement in the monthly update that at the end of January, they completed Rail Engine. So if it takes 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks to deploy Rail Engine or install it, I don't even know if that's the right language to use, because I notice AI can do things just like that, if you know how to code it. So I think the most important thing, Eric, isn't going to be news. It's going to be when they open the doors for business at Thales Data Center, and people come flooding in, users come flooding in. That's going to be the time that I think the stock will, it might stutter step at first, but I think the stock's going to just shock everybody, and there's not going to be any time to buy it. Idiot day traders will come on and say, well, you don't go broke taking a profit. Well, it hit the such and such, and they'll convince you to sell. And then the next day it'll be up. It's going to go up limit. It's going to be like a commodity trade. It'll be limit up day after day after day for a while. Of course, there is no cap. It'll just go up day after day after day. Tony Barter, what is going to be massive is the BlackBerry deal that may or may not be happening. You remember what happened with CrowdStrike. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, why the timing of why now. One thing I can think of is BlackBerry's division for, I'm trying to remember it. Is it QNS? QVS? QTS? Anyway, they're really growing division that begins with a Q, I think, for quantum. Maybe it needs compute power. And maybe it's gonna sign a deal with Thales and simultaneously sign a deal with Railtown, and that's going to jumpstart everything. And yes, that would be huge. That would just be, it's just an enormous leap. Which, yes, so I agree with you, but I don't think BlackBerry's doing a deal directly with Railtown. What would it be? I did go to, and I can read it to you. But I did go to the BlackBerry site, and BlackBerry's in the software that controls automobiles. I forget the term. And maybe they need Railtown for that. I don't know. Tony asked, do you think the Canadian government will let it be bought by a non-Canadian company? Well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But yes, I think they would, because you would write up agreements that would protect Canada. Let's say Microsoft bought Railtown, my favorite candidate. If Microsoft bought Railtown and installed Railtown on all of Microsoft's AI data centers, and then induced North American business to flow across those data centers, including Canadian business in Canada, because there are Microsoft data centers there. How do you handle the sovereignty issue? And all I can guess is you would sign agreements and enforce them, perhaps, with AI, and that would be good enough. I don't know, though. If I were Canada, I wouldn't allow it. But the world's going to break into unless we can all get along, the world's going to break into different spheres. And it's not going to be US against Canada. I guess what I'm understanding is Mexico wants to take back all of Western United States, and they're going to do it by migration and political power, but it's coming. So maybe we're going to be always at battle with Mexico. But I think North America is going to be one of the global power centers. And in that sense, it would be best if the United States and Canada work together. But no one trusts the United States anymore. We break our word all the time, and we have corrupt markets. And I would think Canada would say no. But then who buys them? That's the thing. If you limited it only to Canadian buyers, there's just not that much buying power. So I think they'll make a deal and let Microsoft or Amazon or I don't know. I still think Microsoft's the buyer, but maybe an Anthropic could buy them. I don't know. Hey, Steve, how are you? E. Belanger, apparently there are regular offers, but Corey wants to see his idea through. Oh, wow. So already there's offers? The way I read what you say there, maybe there's been offers, but they're too low. So companies are already always for sale at the right price. Always at the nice price for the seller. So that just means, I think that just means, again, what Railtown needs to do is two things: prove the concept and ramp revenues. And I think the first thing's more important than the last, because what you need is a competitor saying, I need that. And then another competitor saying, I can't let them get that. And then another competitor saying, I can't allow either of them to get that. So then you have a 2 or 3 way bidding war. That's really interesting that there are offers. I wonder what they're for. Very low number, I bet. There's no revenues yet. This is why that deal they just did with those 2 guys, the Steely Dan guys, Donald Fagen and the other fellow, I can never, Lapazaridis, doing that deal, even though it was low price stock, that $3 million gives them all sorts of staying power. And they don't have to take a low deal, you know? They don't have to take a cheap deal. That's probably why Ruffalo, Nobrega, and BlackBerry guys jumped in. What, that there's offers? That could be right, Eric. Maybe there were offers, and Steely Dan came in and said, well, we'll give you cash, you know, for at market price. And to a guy like Corey, that was a better deal than selling the company for, you know, $100 million or $500 million. It could be. Could be. Let me see if I can find anything that's other than me talking. Yeah, see, I downloaded so much. All I don't want you to see. All right, I'll just read this to you. I'm not going to put it up because if I go in to pull it up, I'm going to pull up something private. And I don't want to do that. Don't want to take the chance. So I asked Google, who owns Anthropic? Anthropic is primarily owned and controlled by its co-founders. Wow. Amazon has invested $4 billion in Anthropic, marking a major partnership where Anthropic uses Amazon Web Services. Google holds approximately 14% of the company. As of late 25, the company has massive valuation increases of over 100 billion. Pretty amazing. OpenAI is owned by a mix of entities following a major October 25 restructuring. Microsoft owns 27% of OpenAI. By putting in, I guess, over 13 billion. Then there's this company, Crew AI. Crew, like the shirt company, Crew. Crew AI is a leading framework for orchestrating role-playing autonomous AI agents to automate complex workflows. That sentence is chopped off at the top, so let me see if I can read it differently. Crew AI is a leading framework for orchestrating role-playing autonomous AI agents to automate complex workflows. By enabling agents to work together, researching, writing, and analyzing in collaboration, it boosts productivity, reduces and manages complex tasks. Its product is free to 120,000 a year. Based on early 25 data, valued at 100 million. They do 3 million in revenue in the middle of last year. All right, let me see if there's anything else here. Yeah, I wish. I've been working, so a lot of this is all private. And I just don't want to make the mistake of putting it up. Wow. All right, here. This is, all right, that's what Ward sent last time. So let me go to see if I can find what guys sent me. Or it looks like Harbison sent me something. Ted Zalowski. This is 19 hours ago. The AIP Railtown update below reinforces my earlier posts on the AIP Railtown amalgamation growth opportunity for founders, developers, and investors. In summary, the combination of Railtown's technology platform with AIP's 180 plus affiliate network created one of the more compelling early stage AI infrastructure platforms to quicken the development to commercialization ramp up speed for AIP affiliates as well as Railtown's existing and new customers using Railtown's agentic engines. Why stop the sentence there? In practical terms, as an AIP advisor and investor, I saw too many AIP startups, in addition to non-AIP startups, burning cash and time repeatedly by reinventing and rebuilding AI data gathering and knowledge management engines for their applications instead of using ready-built agentic solutions that Railtown can provide. For founders and developers looking to move faster, and for investors tracking the AI agentic growth engines, have a look at Railtown. Quote, Railtown has now launched Rail Engine, a real-time event-based ingestion engine designed to transform raw enterprise data into context-rich, searchable knowledge. For the AIP affiliate network and others in the AI sector, Rail Engine represents a key platform capability supporting AI agent development. Alongside existing platform technologies such as Conductor and RailTracks, Rail Engine accelerates AI agent development, deployment, and scaling by providing shared real-time enterprise context. At a high level, Rail Engine enables teams to continuously ingest and organize enterprise data as it changes, convert fragmented information into structured, usable context, and power AI agents with timely, relevant knowledge. The result is less time spent preparing data and more time focused on building intelligent agents with greater awareness of enterprise movements. And then the press release we've seen before, and I'm going to repost that, and I'm going to give it a like, because Ted Zalowski is right. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, let me go back to see. Let's see what's here. All right, download it. Can I see it? All right, I guess I can't see it. I have to go to photos, maybe? Yeah, no. Where did it download? Maybe I can expand it. No, it's not letting me expand it. I've got an image here, and I can't do anything with it. Oh, it might be in my files folder. Okay. Let me look in my files folder. Under downloads. Got so many of them. All right, I'm going to, instead of that, so many, I'm going to go to recents. Do I have recents? Don't have recents. What if I search by today? Nope. I can't find it. Let me see if I can name it. I don't know what to do. Image. It says download. Can I just view it? There, I can view it. I can hit view. Ward sent me a thing. I don't know what he wants me to read to you. I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you about that, so I'll have to play dumb for a while because I don't know. Okay, Corey Brandolini posted, and this also comes from Mr. Harbison. AIP is where serious AI companies partner to scale. We connect best-in-class AI as a service companies into a global non-competitive affiliate network built for real growth. Today, the AIP affiliate network includes 180 plus vetted software as a solution AI companies across Canada and the United States, operating in healthcare, manufacturing, retail, fintech, and sector agnostic AI and ML. Something language, modern language, mobile. I don't know what ML. Always makes me think of Merrill Lynch. In aggregate, our affiliates represent $500 million in annual revenue. Wow. It's $500 million in annual revenue and serve 5,000 customers. Why your company should join the network. No competition within the network. Integrated solutions that expand customer value. A focus on long-term partnerships over short-term deals, cross-sell and co-sell opportunities with aligned partners. There is no cost to join. Membership is based on exclusion. No, membership is based on fit, quality, and shared opportunity. That's awesome. Awesome share. Awesome share. This comes from Ward. Anthropic's revenue run rate doubled in India in 4 months. I think Anthropic's pretty good. Anthropic's revenue run rate in India has doubled in 4 months, underscoring the rapid adoption of the AI startup's Claude coding product in that country. Anthropic announced its India expansion in October and opened its Bengaluru office on Monday, and said the world's most populous country is the largest market for its Claude AI model after the United States. Anthropic's business run rate revenue within India has doubled over the last 4 months, and Claude Code may have grown faster. The Amazon and Alphabet-backed startup raised $30 billion in a funding round last week and valued the firm at $380 billion. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. All right, I don't know. I can't find anything more easily to read to you. It's hard on the phone. Belanger, no, they accept, they accept to jump in. They joined because they embrace Corey's vision. Yeah, but why now? I would guess that a why now answer would be pretty simple. It's never going to be cheaper. Do you have something to do the chart on Railtown? I can try to do it now. The problem is I might disconnect you guys, but I can try it. Ward Richardson says, good evening. Just want to say Crew AI is not a threat here with Rail Engine. I love Ward. He's always very positive. All right, let me see if I can. I'll try to do a chart without disconnecting anybody. And I love that it kind of did what we projected there. Um, hmm. All right, let me see if I can, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to help at all, but I'll show you what I did. And it's, I'm going to take your comment down, account settings. So you can see this, but I can't, with this whole thing, I can't draw much, but let me just talk through what I see here. I don't know if right here you can see in the white, I drew the wedge. It's hard to see, but it's a white color. And I think now with a few days or a few weeks to look back, it was true to its form. That declining wedge is a very bullish signal. And it broke out here, I guess at the end of January, beginning of February, popped up to the horizontal sort of orange line there and pulled back. And it came all the way down to test almost where it broke out. If you continue down the white declining line, and that's normal. It breaks out, it breaks resistance, comes test it. And that was really the last chances to buy it in those prices. It went sideways here, but with time you can see that wasn't fatal at all, and I never thought it would be. As I told you, it could go sideways a little bit, but it kind of set up a little bit of a pennant, and it broke out the other day. Well, it broke through this orange resistance, which is vague, but if you took this pen all the way across, you would see that is sort of a resistance area. And it punctured it. So it went through the combined, what is it, 20-day and 50-day moving averages, and went all the way up to the 200-day moving average, lickety split. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. Of course, during the day, there was some volatility. And it came up to that moving average and pulled back, because that's where the computers are all set. Everybody does the same trading patterns. And if you look at this big black circle that I drew here, it doesn't really give us a strict analog. But I would guess the one right in the middle of the circle is the closest, where it went up for 2, 3, 4 days, went slightly sideways, then it went up again. But the main thing I want to show you in that circle is that as the stock went up to the green line, which I don't know if the chart doesn't go back far enough that tells you anything. Now it tells me that's where the resistance was, but I'd have to look further back. But my point is, it goes up to that line, and then it has a sharp fall down for several days. And that's a head fake. That's a flash crash. That's what the criminals do. And then it rallied back up to what was the high at that time, intermediate high, went sideways slightly, broke through, tested it, and then it had its run. That could happen over here, is all I'm saying. or not, doesn't have to, but it could, now that it's testing here, you could get 2 or 3 or 4 days down just to scare everybody. I personally don't think that's going to happen because everybody's talking about it, but you never know. You never know. What I want to tell you though is don't be scared out because of it. Over here in the black circle, if someone got scared out when it hit the 200-day moving average, they missed that entire run upward. And that's what I think now let's go to the positives here. I think we're at the 200-day moving average. We're also at this green horizontal, very vaguely drawn. That's at the bottom of the trading that happened October, November. And it's basically the noise around 42.5 cents up or down. Well, we've pulled up to the bottom of that, and between the green and the blue line is now resistance. Question is it going to mean a lot? It could, because I think a lot of people feel like that 42, 44 cents, maybe that's where they should have gotten out, or maybe that's what they paid. Maybe they've averaged down and this is now their break even. And there could be a group of people who just say, "Phew, just get me out of it." Don't be one of those people. But that's what charts try to show you. So it's possible. So one thing that's possible from the yellow or the orange to the green, we've already done that. It would be normal for this to try to pull back at least during the day. It would be normal, and it could do it for a week, just like in the middle of that black circle. It's all perfectly normal. Doesn't have to though. If we continue to break through on the 200-day through the green line, my guess is we'll hit that blue line roughly at, I don't know, 44, 45 cents. And it might not stop. The question is, how strong is that resistance if you take the blue line over into the middle? The question is, how many of those people are going to want to sell now that it's back there? I personally don't think there's a lot of selling, but it's all set up by computers right now. So I'd say next week, one thing that could happen is you could have a little bit of an up tomorrow morning, and then they drive it back down here to 35, 36. I don't think they'll get it all the way down to the orange line, but they could. It's not bad. Just coming back to test what will be support. I don't think they're going to get it down that low, but you could have a downward sideways for this week. Another thing that can happen is it can break up. If it just goes through this green without pulling back, I think when it hits the blue, it will pull back. If, on the other hand, we go sideways here a little bit, then pull in through the green later on, I don't think it needs to pull back from the blue at that point. But we'll see. Once we go through the blue, I think it goes to the first red line, my opinion, without any problem, but that's just opinion. There's a lot between the green and the blue line. There's many weeks and a lot of volume and a lot of trading between roughly 38 and 44 cents. Whatever that is, I can barely read it. And that might be hard to get through. And then once you get to the 44, 45 cents, there is resistance over there. That might be hard to get through. Personally, I think anybody that wanted to sell has already done it. So I don't see a lot of resistance there. The algorithmic cell program computers may try to sell there. And for as long as there's a period where people can't talk about whatever the bloody material inside information is, it might have some impact. And that's okay. It's healthy. It's healthy to have some pullback because that gives you a stronger base on which to rally. Now, on this white wedge that I drew downward, you can see my little black dots in the volume column, horizontal, not column, the volume horizontal. Um, uh, I counted that out and then I counted it up. Basically, my theory is if you count the duration of the downward wedge in terms of blocks of time, once it breaks out, you can count upward in blocks of price movement. I don't know if it works, but you know what's funny? Counting that out, it counts right to the high, counts to 70 cents. If you notice over here where the black circle is, it was sort of the end of May. It took June. It took end of May, June, and beginning of July to go from these 22-cent lows all the way to 69-cent highs. So it took, I guess 60 days to do that. So far, we're just about 3 weeks into this move. I personally, this destruction on the way down, I don't see that happening again. Just don't see it happening again. So I guess, however it trades over the next week or 2 or 3, my target's right here, 70 cents. Soon. I'd say in I'd say next week is going to be sideways to down, and the following week could even stay down a bit, unless there's some fundamental event that just changes sentiment, or if there's a research report or something that would forestall that. If we break through the green with volume and the bid goes up there, we'll puncture the blue, but then we'll come back to test the green. Anyway, it'll be one of those 2 scenarios for the next week or 2. And then how long does it take to get through the blue? I don't think it's going to be that hard, but if it takes any time, it might take a week. And then it's directly to the first red line, which is hard to read. I'd say it's 60 cents, 62 cents. I don't see any resistance there of note. And I think then we go to 70 cents. And of course, it'll pull back to 60 cents. But by then, anything that's getting us up to 70 cents will take us over $1 fairly quickly. My guess, $1.20. And then it'll pull back to probably not 80 or 85. It'll probably try to pull back just under $1. Maybe 90, 95. And then the next runs to 150, 175, 225, pull back a little bit. Next run to 350, pull back a bit. Next run to 4.25, pull back a bit. Next run to 5.5. Guess what? It won't pull back. When it gets to 5.5, 6, it could be at 12, 10 or 12 in 48 hours. So if I were buying, I'd just buy. If I were selling, I'd have to say you're crazy to sell. If you're trying to day trade it, I also say you're crazy. But if you want to try to buy some this coming week, tomorrow, the next few days, you might be able to buy it at. I can't read that number. Let me see if I can see it here. Yeah, you might be able to get it at 35 cents. This week. It might go to 32.5, 33 this week, but I wouldn't count on it. And if it breaks through 39.8, particularly with volume, I think it'll go to 45, and I think it will pull back to, 42, even 40. And then it'll try again for 45, maybe pull back slightly, and then on maybe the third time it'll puncture 45. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. It might take 4 times. I think it'll only take 3 attempts to get through 45. And then I would guess it's going to go to 60 or 62.5. And you guys are going to be so excited. They'll try to put some volatility in it, but I'm not sure that volatility is going to stick very long. And then it'll be 70 cents. I would hope that it doesn't go straight up the next week or so, because that would set it up for a bigger pullback. I'd much rather see it be volatile this coming week and two, because that'll build a base for us. It's all about laying the foundation. But yeah, isn't it funny? You guys didn't believe me, but I told you that declining wedge was a powerful bullish signal, and it broke out. And it did. Now, with hindsight, we can see it. It came back and tested the top of that wedge. Then, of course, it took a week or so before it. Now, a couple other things on this chart. Right here, this is a bullish cross. I guess that's the 15-day crossing the 50-day. That's excellent. Very bullish. But then down here, the money flow chart, this is good too. This is actually really good. Yeah, it should go up to this. It was down at the low extreme, and it should come up to this higher extreme. And that's a lot of movement in the stock price ahead. I don't know if any of that helps you. My guess is tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, down and a little bit sideways, unless one of these bigger buyers spent the weekend planning on buying. So I did it best I could. What was the price in Canadian money that a private placement was? Could we consider that the floor of the stock? Well, it was 30 cents Canadian for a unit. And so the stock, and each unit had one share of stock and one warrant. The unit was the share was 30 cents and the warrant's 45 cents. There's probably some Black-Scholes model to figure that out. What is that actually price? The stock's actually slightly cheaper, but for simple dreams, I would call it, you got the stock at 30 cents and you got the warrants for free. They probably had intrinsic value, but I find it doesn't, people can do that work. It doesn't help us. So anyway, 30 cents, I don't think 30 cents is the floor. I think I guess I'd have to look at a chart, Justin, and I'll do that for tomorrow. But off the top of my head, I would call the exercise price of those warrants the floor. This stock has just completely changed. And a lot of its credibility, it's already getting the attention of people sort of in the know who use BDO but don't have BO. They're already talking about it. So I knew Rail Megaspace was an asshole. And if no more news comes out, maybe we'll get a pullback in that direction. You got to do what you got to do. There'll be sharp pullbacks. There'll be some volatility. But the risk you run, you don't know from what level. And the risk you run is if you put orders in under the market, you may get them, or you may miss out. But if you already have your position pretty much, you can play with that and not feel like you missed anything. I just buy it. See, this guy is a shill. You missed the shills. I actually thought this was a good guy, but I guess not. Will GTII be back better than ever? No, it's a shell. There's nothing in it. Nothing in it. So I don't know why you'd even ask that. You're an idiot to ask that. Sachi, can we get any units? Well, I sent you. If you were watching me, I sent a email to Corey asking if we could, but it sold out the next day. So the answer was no, we couldn't. My goal, if this all works out, I'm going to try to set up a vehicle that we can all participate in. And my goal is, as a block, that we can get involved in some placements and some deal flow. The key to, well, I won't tell you the keys of it out loud, but I know how to do it. It's not, it's slow at first, but once you get there, you can participate in these deals. And the good thing is you can get, like you just noticed, a share plus a half warrant. And if we have just a small amount of money, we get the share when we're allowed to, without hurting the company. We can sell those shares and just keep the warrants. I don't want to play any of the criminals games, but there are ways to use the units to build a position and always keep your liquidity for the next deal. And I like to try to do that in these areas. Anyway, this rail mega space city depresses me. I thought he was a nice guy. So all of a sudden my energy level is down. I don't know how these people look in the mirror, frankly, but there's a lot of badness in the world. So it shouldn't surprise me. All right, so I think I'll sign off here. I'm sorry it was disjointed, but what I'm going to summarize by saying is it's been a long, painful. Let me look at that chart again. The stock hit its high in the middle of July, came down, gave a respite in the beginning of October, and then sort of mid-November, and I remember because a really smart trader suggested to me that it was time to give up on Railtown. And he didn't say give up, he just suggested it. But his gut instincts were spot on in terms of the breakdown in those. It was almost, I'd say, the day before this happened or 2 days before it happened. And boom, from middle of November, they just crushed it. It rallied. That's a perfect example. They crushed it. It rallied back to the moving average, and then the onslaught continued all the way down to 25 cents, and it hovered around there for a while. It's not doing that again. That was it. So if you didn't buy it there, you're never buying it there again. You missed it. So what do you do now? You buy it now. In my opinion, you buy it now. And it's a shame. It's a shame not to get it at 25 cents, not to get it at 28 cents, not to get it at 30. I mean, really, the volume was mostly in the 25 cent range and mostly in the 28 cents range. Since then, it's just been up. But from now on, you're not going to see this crap again. You're not. So I think you can, one advantage, if you're new, you can buy it without the risk of this heaviness happening again. Obviously, there's no guarantees. That's just opinion. But you buy it without opportunity cost risk or timing risk. So I would just buy it. I think the catalyst for a major move obviously could always be research, but I think it's very simple. Whatever this blockage of some kind of material, non-public information, once that's broken through, things will change. And or once the TELUS data center or Uniserve is ready to go, and it might be as simple, I don't know, but it might be as simple as waiting for the rail engine to be deployed. But once they sort of open the doors for customers, I doubt you ever see under $1 again. It's going to be it's going to be unlike anything you've ever witnessed. And as long as an asteroid doesn't hit the Earth or World War III start or, some inexplicable thing, I don't think there's a reason to sell the stock at $1 or $2 or $3. But we'll stay on top of it. We'll stay on top of it. It's interesting what Eric said, that there's offers. That's interesting. It'd be interesting how quickly, if those offers turn to, when you're offering lowball, you might not think it's lowball, but you're trying to get in before something happens, trying to get a good price. But if it starts getting traction, there might be some more urgency in those prices. They're no smarter than we are. It's just like this chart here. There are a lot of people saying, it's 25 cents. I'm going to see if I can get some at 22 cents. You remember that hollow slitherer? He said, I'm going to get it at 22 cents. I told him lots of luck. Anyway, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. Somebody said something else. Justin said, I think some short-term recorded revenue that could be extrapolated into the future is going to be the biggest catalyst. Yeah, I would agree with that, except I don't really. I think what is going to matter more than revenue is scale. How quickly, how easily, and how cleanly it scales. They don't care about the revenue right now. They're not going to pay for revenue now. They're going to pay, well, if I buy this, I'll give you an example, Justin. This is my reason for Microsoft. If Microsoft were to just issue 1% of their market cap, let's call it, I don't want to look it up. Let's call it 3 trillion. They issued 1% of their market cap. It'd be $30 billion of stock. Nothing to them, nothing. To us, that's probably $150 a share. But ignoring all that pie in the sky, just look at it from Microsoft's standpoint. Microsoft, as I understand it, still has 90% of the world's software developer market, the SaaS, S-A-A-S. They may not keep it if they don't Jack be nimble, Jack be quick this properly. But on the other hand, if they were to buy Railtown for stock, and they knew through their own experts that this was scaling and doing it effectively and at a pace that they could see that on that data center, their revenue would be 3 years from now $1 billion. Railtowns. I'm making it up. Well, Microsoft could buy Railtown for, what did I say, 30 billion? Put Railtown in all of their AI data centers around the world. I think they have over 400 data centers. I don't know how many are ready for this NVIDIA type stack. but they could put it in there. But what Microsoft has, Railtown's already embedded in everything Microsoft. What Microsoft has is the ability, let's say Microsoft is charging a development team. I don't know. I don't know their pricing, but let's say they're charging $100,000 a year for a big developer team for their service. They could roll Railtown in that, tell the team that the cost is now $150,000, or they could take some things out of that bundle. My point is, they can control, Microsoft internally can control what revenue gets allocated in their model to the benefit Railtown brings. They could buy the bloody thing for $30 billion, and for all I know, create enough revenue with enough of a multiple in growth that they could claim it's worth $1 trillion inside of their company. I'm going to extremes. I don't know the numbers. My point is, Microsoft can buy Railtown, put it into its revenue stream, grow its revenue, and therefore make the acquisition look smart. Because they already have all the customers. I think that could happen. But Justin, I think it's not going to be based on revenue. It's going to be based on projected revenue. But even projected revenue isn't enough. It's got to be on the ability of Railtown's platform to scale, to handle the load, and to provide a measurable performance benefit, which people not only will pay for, they have to pay for. They have to have it. That's what will make it buy. And I'm not sure we're going to see it. We're going to see it one morning or one night when we hear about a bid. That's my opinion. But you're not wrong. Revenue would help, but I think any revenue that we see, it's going to be so late in the process of the acquiring party or of the bankers or of bigger investors, the private equity, venture capital. They're already putting the scale and the growth into their models. You can see this. I mean, Langchain was priced at 1.25 post money on 12 to 16 million estimated annual revenues. It's not about the revenues per se. I'm not explaining myself very well. It's about the predictability, the growth, the stickiness, the scale of the revenues that they see coming. And if it's a must-have solution, they're not buying it on revenues today or last quarter, or that they need to see them. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't be important. I just think it might happen more quickly, although Eric says there's already, so maybe they're shifting and thinking they can be a unicorn, which would be a big positive. I think Corey has great judgment in software. I heard an interview over, I guess the night before, that a lot of Wall Street analysts, Wall Street bankers, Wall Street hedge fund girls and guys, they don't know what they're talking about with software, just like me. Don't know. Because they never built it. They never ran a software team. They never had to solve a software problem. Corey and Marwan have. They've done it. So we're I think very lucky about that. Let's take a page out of Ham's playbook and put a bill. You're not going to have to do that. You're not going to have to do that. I would say, really, Justin, I don't think you need to worry. I think the worrying time is done. I really do. I think it's the do the hustle time. I think you gotta, if you want to own it, you gotta buy it or say bye to it. That's what I think. All right, I'm going to sign off. It's 6:15. I thank you for listening. We didn't have much to talk about, I guess, but it's about to be fun. It's about to be fun. So peace to everyone. Happy President's Day. And tomorrow, I think, is the horse day. And then Wednesday's Ash Wednesday. And then I saw curling is going on in the Olympics. Remember I told you this stock would start moving when the curling championships happened? I just didn't know I was talking about the Olympics. But it's happening. See, sometimes I get some things right. All right, peace, everyone. Sleep tight. Make sure to tell your dog that he is loved and your cat that she is loved. And we'll talk tomorrow.